Going live. Of course, we are live right now, and I'm sorry you can see my husband's tools in the background, but as most of you know, fixing and making a shop takes a lot of effort. So sorry I had to move the camera around. It was not a very good view of me, was it? Now, what I'm going to do, as most of you know, every couple Sundays I do a chat, which is a Sunday chat. So you will start to see that I'll have the thumbnail very clear on what we're going to be talking about. So today we're going to be talking about, what's selling, what are the products that are really good and selling, what's kind of trending, because trending is something you want to know. It really is very important. And one of my subscribers actually talked about that today, and she was saying that she likes watching my videos to see what I'm making, what might be trending, what's not selling, what is selling, because I always tell you if something's selling or not, because that is vitally important on, what's going to be a selling thing and what is not going to be a selling thing. So now let's get into it, because we do have Christmas coming along, and with Christmas, you want to get on board with the trends. Now, when we're talking about trends that, are working at the moment, there's also other things to think of, like think of colors, because every year you'll probably notice your local shopping centers, they will come out with colors of the year. So this year it's definitely pinks and things like that. Good morning, Carly. How are you? Welcome to Sunday Chat. I'm doing really well. Thank you, Carly. So now, like I said, there's a lot of trends at the moment. So now let's go through a couple and then we'll talk about them as we go along. So the trends for this year that I've definitely noticed is a lot of mugs, glass tumblers for sure, scrubs, tinted lotions are huge at the moment, and lots of showered milks. They're also very, very good. Hello, Rainbow. How are you, darling? Good morning to you. So they are super big. Another thing that's big in candles is definitely concrete candles and what I call the unique gift candles. So now a lot of people, I get this all the time from people talking to me, and they say, look, when you're looking at a candle, let's be honest, there's so many clear ones on the market, so many amber ones on the market. Oh, hi, Carol from USA. Hi, sweetheart. Welcome to Sunday Chat. I know it is Saturday night in the US at the moment. But like I said, there's all of these things to consider. And with candles, you've got to be unique, friends, because it is very saturated, but you can definitely sell. You can definitely do well with candles, but you need to come up with something unique. I talk about this all the time. I did show these. These are my new kind of candles, and they are in more like a pottery kind of vase. So even if you have the same container or same mold I have, you may come up with a different technique to coloring it. You may do a multi-color. You may just have them all gray. You may have your brand printed on it, and that makes it unique. So that's what I'm talking about with candles. I mean, you can just have a white candle wax, but what's, on the jar is more important. And I noticed this a lot the other day. Lois Brown, hi darling, welcome from Texas. So now, and when we're talking about lots of these as well, this is the thing. Look, this looks gorgeous, doesn't it? I mean, it looks amazing. We all know a candle like this looks lovely. But I was in a Dares the other day. I'm not sure if you have a Dares in the US, but it's like a homeware, like a really upmarket kind of homeware place here. And the thing that I noticed with the Dares is every candle I picked it up because of the box. Or the outside. I didn't even look at what scent it was. And my daughter, who's 15, she picked this up and said, Mum, do you realise you have not even smelt it? You've just picked up the box. And I said, I'm going to buy this one for Alicia, which is my son's girlfriend. And I said, oh, look, she'll love this smell. No, I didn't even smell it. But I just kind of seen the box and seen what it looked like. And anyway, and then one of them I did that, and then I smelt it, and it was gingerbread, and it was really not very nice. And I was like, oh, maybe I won't buy it. But, this is the thing. Eye appeal is buy appeal. So you need something different. It's very important. Oh, you want to thank me for my Patreon? Oh, thank you. That's so lovely. Yeah, no, I do try really hard on Patreon, and I always try and bring more. So for anyone that's not on my Patreon, I do lots of posts. So it's usually most days I will post and do different things, and I usually go a bit above what I say I'm going to deliver, but I do try. So now let's get started, like I said, of all of the other things that are trending and selling. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing that does not sell for me very good anymore, and it's very sad indeed, because I'm very good at making them, and I mean, look, some of us know, you just know if you're good at making something. Bath bombs, I am very good at making. I don't have a lot of fails, but they're not a big seller. They're not a big money maker. And I did say this in my video the other day. If something's not selling, you have to know just to get rid of it. Oh, thank you, Carol. That's so nice. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you want, my loves. I never ask for that. And do make sure you subscribe, because if you're not, you may not see my videos come up. And lots of people say to me, oh, they don't actually see them. And it's like, because you need to be subscribed. And I think, like, I get a lot of videos watched, but I think it's something like 70% are not subscribed. So that's a bit sad, isn't it? But anyway, I don't mind. I really appreciate all of you watching me too. Oh, did I feel the earthquake last night? Joe's asking. Actually, I did feel a bit of a rumble last night in Australia. And for anyone that knows, we don't really have many earthquakes, but we've had a few minor ones lately. So yeah, yeah, and the wind is blowing crazy, so my fingers are crossed, because when the wind's crazy in Australia, we have bad fires, so I'm hoping we don't. But I was out at a very cool party last night, a James Bond party. We'll add that in. It was cool. We all had to dress up as James Bond or something in James Bond, so that was a bit funny. It was a good time. But anyway, like I said, so we're going to talk about all of the different things that are selling and not selling. So bath bombs for me, I'm thinking I will keep a couple, but on my new website, I'm going to move them to a section I'm creating called gifts. So in gifts, it will be, like lots of different things. So it will just be maybe like the milkshake things that I've made. There might be like some canisters or extra things that I'm going to add that in there as well. Yeah, Rainbow, yeah, 100%, darling. It is very dry in Australia at the moment, because we've had lots of 30-degree days at the moment. So now, like I said, bath bombs are not my jam. I love them. I'm good at them, but they're just not selling. And with the price of citric acid, sometimes, as hard as it is, and, seriously, I've had to smack my hand and say, Rhonda, just get rid of them, because some of them I only make 50 cents a bath bomb. So it's really not good at all. Very, very hard. Yeah, the prices of things are very expensive. I do agree, and lots of people have said that. They just don't want to pay $8 for a bath bomb. And my bath bombs with the jojoba oil in that, they are very expensive. So it does cost a lot of money to make them. Oh, hi Layla, how are you going, darling? Welcome. So now let's talk about mugs. Look, you've probably all seen them. I can't remember what the exact mug's called, but the glass mugs with the glass straw are huge everywhere in Australia. They are massive. And of course, you always get these department stores, the cheapskates. They click onto an idea, then they'll bring it in. And that's what they did. So my local store, which is, it's called the Reject Shops. It's like a discount. It's probably like, I think Michael's, can't remember whether Michael's is your discount one in the US. I can't remember, but I know there's one a lot of you talk about. But anyway, so what they did is, so these glass jars sell at around $30 AU in Australia. They bought them in for $4. I'm telling you, within 30 minutes sold out. There's nothing left. Absolutely crazy. Apple Tree Soapery, how you going, Ross? Welcome to our Sunday chat. Oh, you've learnt so much. Thank you. Set apart soap. Oh, I'm really glad that you have, because I honestly do try and help to teach people what's selling, what's trending, what's not. And then hopefully that way you can kind of look at your products, and you may go back then in your inventory or even on your store, and you might be able to, like your online store or even your market, you might have an inventory, and then you'll probably start to see things that really aren't selling that you have to move on. So super, super important. Yeah, you've learned a lot. A lot. Thank you so much. And you know, like these, like I said, these jars, these glass jars, are massive. But anyway, thank goodness they sold out of the cheapskate stores because, look, they were still great and everything else. But I'm just like, so many people are making them, and honestly, for the jar is $8 in Australia. To get the transfer, that is another sort of $5, $4.50 to $5. From Oregon, USA. Welcome, sweet dandelion. So yeah, so it's really expensive to make these, and when I seen them $4, I thought I can't even get the jar wholesale for $4, even if I'm buying 500 jars in bulk. So anyway, that was a bit of a downfall, but they are still selling really well. I know a company in the east of Melbourne, and they sell them at $35, and they sell them very well. So don't if you see something cheap in a discount store, just remember they're going to get rid of that. So pay no attention to that. Still bring it in if you think it's going to sell and people will buy it. Definitely this time of year, mugs are a big thing as well. Yeah, Rainbow, that's right, darling, because it's a very, very hard. Yeah, Joe, you're right. We can't compete with the discount stores. Don't even try it, lovelies. Please don't worry about them. Just run your own race and just know a cheapskate's going to buy that and that's it. They move on. But, you know, if they really love you, they're going to keep buying from you. And that's the one thing I've learned. A lot of people say to me, I could get that cheaper from there, but I'm not going to buy it. And do remember, anything you buy that says made in China, like a cosmetic or anything, it has been tested on animals. It's a part of their law to sell it. It must be tested on an animal, and I do not buy anything that is tested on animals, even my own makeup. And, you know, I went to the Mecca store, and Mecca, I said, do you have this particular product? I was looking for a liquid sort of lipstick rouge. And she said, yes. She showed me these products. And I said, are these tested on animals? She said, yes. I said, I'm not interested. Show me one that's not. And they had an aisle, honestly, that was maybe 2 or 3 meters. That was it. The rest of the store was all tested on animals. I'm like, nah, not interested. So I ended up paying nearly $70 for this rouge. But to me, it makes me feel better knowing it's not tested on an animal. So just remember that when you're buying cheap things, you know, and it says made in China and it's tested on animals, then you're kind of contributing to that. If it's a big thing for you not to do that, for me, I would rather buy one expensive product and have that last a bit longer than buy lots of cheap things that I know are tested on animals. And it's actually quite cruel if you watch how they're tested. It's actually quite heartbreaking. So anyway, that's just my spill on that. I'll probably get in trouble. Someone won't agree with me, but that's very important to me. So just remember that. And this is the thing. People that buy from me or you or small makers, they are more interested in, you know, the impacts on the earth, the impacts on animals. You know, how, you know, is it organic? How is it sourced? Are people being paid the right amount of money for the product? So that's the thing. I don't want to contribute to helping a big fat cat make more money and a small person not. So I try really hard to buy generally from smaller companies. And a lot of people are going, that's a big trend at the moment. I've seen lots of people talking about this on TikTok, about buying for small businesses. And for any of you that don't know, I actually do own a conference, and it's a small conference for small businesses. It's an exclusive conference, and we talk about this all of the time. Oregon, is it? I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. The first word, is it Damicus? Anyway, my Aussie accent probably won't let me pronounce that right, but I'm sorry if I'm wrong, my love. Set apart soap, but I do appreciate you being on here. Anyone that comes on and listens to me, I just hope I'm going to bring value and it will help you in your own business. But anyway, let's get off the subject of the testing, but that's just something to consider as well. Even my lip balms, I don't think I've got one on my bench sitting here that I can show you, but I've gone from the plastic tubes to now I use the recyclable, like the recyclable cardboard tube, and it is 4 times the size. But you know, I've had so many people buying them, a lot more than the plastic ones, because people are saying, I'm actually really want to use this because now I understand that this is going to break down in the earth. And you know, lots of birds actually choke on those little plastic caps and things like that, whereas if somebody uses mine and they lose the end of the cap, it's cardboard, so it is going to it's just going to turn into mush into the earth. So that's super important. If that's really important to you, which it is to me, that's something you can go down. So remember, a big trend is all about, you know, sustainable products. You know, like, not everyone's going down that avenue, but a lot of people in the cosmetic world are very keen on things that are recycled, you know. And even like when you sell packages, you know, like obviously we all buy items, you know, from suppliers. Like, reuse some of that packaging if you can. I do. I reuse it. I reuse bubble wrap and things like that. And now I've also gone to, I can't even find it, but the honeycomb paper that you pull apart, because that is like a paper, it's recyclable, animals aren't going to choke. And you know, if that kind of gets into the earth, and it does, because you know, the wind blows things out of bins and then the birds eat it. So super important as well. That's right, Joy. Yeah, becoming environmentally, you know, aware and responsible, I think, is a really big game changer for all of us to consider. Like, I know it is a little bit more expensive, but if it costs more, well, you just need to charge more for your product. So my lip balms are $9. Now, they are bigger than a standard lip balm, but I sell heaps of them. One lady at the Royal Melbourne show, she actually bought 10 of them from me. And she said, look, I'm going to buy 10. This is so good. I've not actually seen people using this. I'm definitely coming back. She said, you've won me as a customer. So that's just an example of somebody that was like, that is so cool, I'm actually buying that. So anyway, that's a little bit about that. Now, another thing that's big for Christmas, obviously mugs. Mugs are always a big thing. Every year I get at least 2 mugs from my kids. So do think of that as well. That is super important, to just think of those things. Like, if you've got kids or even children, they buy things for their teacher. They're looking for something under $10. So there might be little things that you can bring in, whether it's like a lip balm. Maybe you're going to make a body butter in a tiny little baby container, like a really little 50 gram or something. Then maybe that could be $10 and the teacher could buy it, or they could buy for their teacher. They're the kind of things that are big sellers for Christmas as well. Scrubs. And now, can I tell you this? With scrubs, the one thing I've noticed at the moment, lots of lotions, milk lotions, yogurts, scrubs, body butters, they are all tinted. So I've seen a lot of them tinted with a gold mica, just a little bit of gold mica, because when people put, you know, these on, they go, oh my God, look how beautiful I look and shimmery. And in Australia, you know, when it's Christmas, it's summer for us. So it's hot here. So, you know, like, we would wear like a thin dress to Christmas. So it's something really nice as well. Have I tried silicone molds, resin silicone molds? Yeah, they do last forever. Yeah, I've got some of those and they do last a really long time. But I do use a lot of molds from a company called Lee Molds in Australia, because they're a small Australian company and I do try and support them. And this year they've been so lovely. They have actually offered a $200 voucher as a gift for a door prize at the Australian Soaping and Candle Conference, which will be in March. And lots of you know the beautiful Marie from Humble Bee and Me will be there. And I am actually talking with 2 other ladies, very well-known ladies in the US as well at the moment, about being at the conference. So that's exciting. And if you're from the US, You can actually buy a ticket and log on. At the moment they're 25% off, so I think they're like $30 something, and you can watch the whole thing. We will record it and give you a link later if you're going to sleep. So and you can hear all the guest speakers and see us make things, and you'll get an ebook as well that goes with that. So it's super cool, and we're definitely getting a lot of notice from the US and Canada with our conference. So you can go to that website, which is the Australian Soaping and Candle Conference.com, for anyone that wants to know a little bit about that. But back on to what we're talking about. Another thing that is super big, I've seen everywhere, even in department stores, is shower milks and shower lotions. And I have 5 daughters. So my daughters are from 15 years old up to 31. And my younger daughters in particular have said, Mum, it's everywhere. And a lot of the shower milks have glitter in it as well. Hi, Tammy, my love, from Tammy Suds. You definitely made it, darling. Welcome. So, yeah, so the milks and all the shower products are having a little bit of glitter, a little bit of mica, or, just something a little bit different in them. They are a big seller on the market for sure. 100% they are quite interesting. Even in your body butters, you could just put a tiny little bit of mica, even 1/8 of a teaspoon is enough, and make sure it's biodegradable, because that way it's not itchy, it's very soft, it doesn't hurt anyone as well. And that is super important. Try not to use glitters that are, your standard cheap craft glitter, because the colours will run as well in those. And biodegradable, they don't run. So there's a bit of a difference in what you're using as well. Sorry about the caps. Oh, that's okay, darling. Don't worry about that. Yeah, you'd rather use environmentally friendly too, Rainbow. Yeah, me too. And I think a lot of people are going down that road. And if you look at it, even from people in there, like one of my daughters is almost 18 and she's very into the environmental impacts. A lot of her friends are, right up to people my age in their 50s that are really starting to think about it. Like when I was young, this wasn't a topic that was even discussed ever. Whereas now I think we all understand those impacts. And I think a lot of people really are trying to look for those options as well. So shower lotion, yeah, very interesting. Apple tree. So basically you can even make like a body butter, but the difference is, say if it's a body butter that's all oils, you're going to put a lot more oil. So it's more like a lotion feel. So it's quite light. A lot of lotions you can even take in the shower now as well. And you can resell them as a shower lotion. So it means, they're going to wash themselves with their normal soap. Then they would wash themselves with the lotion and just slightly rub it off. The water's going to trickle off, but they'll still have that beautiful feeling of it. So especially if you use liquid coconut, that is the main ingredient in a lot of shower lotions, because that kind of sinks into your skin and stays there. So it's basically, to break it down, it's like water, your liquid coconut oils. Of course, you have your emulsifying, which is only at a small portion. It might be 9% or less. But yeah, very low. But so with the shower lotions, a lot of them I see is coconut, water, preservative, your glycerin, in them as well, and your emulsifiers. So not heaps of stuff in them, but it just, makes you, so after you've washed yourself, it just feels really beautiful. Like it just has a lovely kind of feel at the end. And you can leave the glitter out if you don't want glitter, but it just might add a little sparkle. But for Christmas, lots of people looking for sparkly things because it's very seasonal. I don't do a lot of things that have a Christmas picture on. It's very rare for me to do it. And look, another thing that's big at Christmas, if you have a look, everyone seems to want something in a box. And look, a lot of my products now are starting to be boxed, but I know that's expensive. A lot of people can't afford it. But the one thing that I do suggest, if you think, well, maybe I can just afford one box to be done, maybe you can get a box that's kind of like this size, like a little bit bigger made. Even if your company's all green, don't write what it is on the box. You could literally just write your company logo and the image, whatever you want on it, and just use that for multiple items rather than pushing it back to only one item. Because for me, if I get something made and it says cherry lotion, it means I can only put a cherry lotion in that box. But sort of think outside the box and try and be a little smart and strategic. You know, if you can only afford $1,000 in boxes or $500, then just think, how can I actually get my money's worth, so I can use that for multiple items. Like, even if you get a lotion box, maybe you'll get them all just to say lotion. They'll all going to be, for instance, if your company's green, they'll all be green, and then you can put a sticker in the corner that says berry scented or lavender scented or whatever it's going to be, because that way it's more user-friendly for you, because you're not going to sell thousands in one go. And I've seen that happen with a lot of big companies at the moment. And one company I've seen in Australia, I've got to think of what they're called now. It's a lotion company. Oh, actually, I can't think of them off by hand, but they have gone to just using containers that are all pink or all blue or all green, and then they just have the text in the DTF written on it. So it will say, for instance, blackberry lotion, and it will have all the information it needs to have on it, but the packaging is just one colour. It saves them money on getting all of these done. Another thing you can do is have a plain container, and you can get wraps made up, and then they just shrink around it with the branding on it. I don't get something like that, to be honest. I try and do as much as I can, and I'm now starting to use a company called Long Story Short Design in Australia. They're very good, and you can get very small portions done as well. Yeah, packaging is a biggie, Joy. Look, it's one of those things. Super, super important. Now, when we move on to candles, which I did touch on at the start, a lot of candles trending at the moment are definitely ones that are pottery, ceramic pottery, what are they called? Hydrostone, which I use, and also a lot of other things as well. So it's super, super important that you really try and think of all of these different things, so just think of what's trending, what's not. And look, I say this all the time, but honestly, amber candles and clear jar candles, white candle jars, they've all been done a million times. So try and think of something different. If you're using a clear jar, maybe you can create a label that's like a see-through label and has pictures of flowers running up it, or pictures of, Santa or something like that running up it, and then you can use that jar for different things and make your label, make the jar colourful, if that makes sense. I've seen a lot, and at Adair's, they have a lot of that this year too. So I knew that was popular when I seen it there. So they had quite a few white jars, and like I said, then they had the pattern. And what they had was like a gingerbread pattern that ran 3/4 up the jar right around. And you know what? It actually saved them money on getting the jars printed, because then that's just the label around it, printing as well. Have I officially changed my wax type? Yeah, I definitely have, Joy. I'm now using A05. I really, really love it. It is a lot more tricky to test to get the right wick, I'm going to be honest. I've used quite a lot of wicks on them, but it is definitely better. Yeah, Lois, I agree, my love, because I use Hydrostone as well and love it. Super popular, because in Australia it's actually much, much harder to get concrete all here. But Hydrostone's a lot easier to get. So, yeah, it's just one of those particular things, isn't it? Like I always say, just try what you can do to see what's going to sell. But honestly, I think, because, now we've gone through this whole thing with people where we love our homes. Before, like my mum would always say that your home was just your house, in your 60s or 70s, 1960 or 70s. She said it was just a house that you lived in. You had things that you liked, but it was not like now, where people really want their home to be their safe haven, their own little castle. And people really care about lifestyle, the way things look and feel in the home. So if you actually think about that with a candle, that can really help sort of hone you into what you're doing. And that might be colours, techniques, like I said, in candles. I don't use anything that is like floral or whatever that sits on top of candles, because I just think that's a bit dangerous and my insurance wouldn't cover that. So I don't do anything like that. My candles are pretty plain on top, but it's the jar that sings. So, and as I did show it before, so these are the Hydrostone ones I actually make. It's been burnt out, obviously I've used that one to test. But this is the thing, just make sure. And also, if you're using AO5, now if you can kind of see that in this, can you see there's still a ring here? Now this is a 7.5 wick. So this is meant to be for an 8 centimeter across candle, and this is only 6 centimeters. So it just goes to show, you know, it's super important. Just goes to show you got to wick it and learn. And AO5 is much trickier with the wick, but in my opinion, it's a much better wax. I really like it, and it lasts longer on the shelf. Yeah, I do agree that Hydrostone is more expensive to make. 100% you're right. But the thing with Hydrostone for me, and I did watch, I can't think of his name, but there's another YouTuber, and I think his name's Jay. He's so funny. I love watching him. He's from the US. He's very high energy, but he did a comparison to concrete oil to Hydrostone, and as he said, there's a lot of really good things about Hydrostone. Unfortunately, it's more expensive, but you can add that into your cost as well. But to me, with Hydrostone, it's fast. So you can demold this really fast. So if you can only afford one mold, you could literally do 6 or 8 in a day. You could, you know, make it, take it out, and, you know, start again. Yeah, Lois, he's hilarious, isn't he? I mean, I have to laugh. Funny as anything. Food wrap cost $2, you're saying, and a blow dryer. Yeah, you're right, exactly. So, yep, you can definitely use, if you don't have a heat gun, you can use something else. But if you go to a craft store, they often have really small mini heat guns, and they're okay to start with, and they're pretty cheap. You can get them for $20. I've seen them for $20. So that's cheap too. I mean, a hairdryer blows it around a bit more, but it's good to start with if that's all you can afford. And yeah, cling wrap, you're right, 100%. Sweet dandelion, like if you just use your cling wrap, it will melt over your product. You look... And this is the thing, when I started with every cheap alternative I could use. You know, I used to contact over the top of my labels because I used to use a cheap paper label because I couldn't afford vinyl. But as you go along, you just get better and you can afford more. It takes time, everyone, you know. It really takes time. So don't sort of look at someone else as well and say, oh, they've got all this and I can't afford it, because... eventually you'll be able to get it. It just takes a lot of time to actually get from A to B, you know. And I've been doing this for a number of years now, and honestly, it's taken me a long time to get to the stage where I get, you know, more regular kind of orders. But look, there's some weeks I don't even get one order. So, and in business too, try and find other alternatives to make money, whether you have a shop on TikTok, whether you have a YouTube channel. Even if you don't have an actual channel, you can even go on YouTube now and just do reels. You can make reels. I make money out of my reels that are like 60 seconds. So try something like that, everyone. Always try to make something, and, you know, just think of other revenue streams as well as just products. And it is much better for you as well. Yeah, that's right. There are a lot of building blocks. That's right, Joy, to be able to upscale, because that's the thing, you know, we've all got to start low. And look, I've had a few people that, you know, I've known, and other people have told me, you know, that they've got friends that started with a lot of money. They started with $50,000 they invested. Of course, that person is going to do so much better than me because they started with money that I didn't have. So I don't have $10,000 to invest in boxes. I only get one lot of boxes that are always under $1,000 in cost at a time. That's all I can afford. Whereas if I could afford to get them all done, I'd probably sell 10 times the amount. But I don't have a spare $10,000. So this is, you know, this is the thing, everyone. Don't try not to compare. I won't tell you don't, but please try not to compare to someone else, because even someone like me, I mean, I've been doing this, like I said, for years. I have well over 300 videos on YouTube, and it's taken me a long time to build those blocks, to earn more money, to be able to do more things. So just remember that what you can afford now is the right thing to do. My advice would be never to take out a loan. Do not take out a loan. If you can afford not to do it, don't. Because that's where you get into trouble, because then you've got to pay the loan, you've got to pay insurance, pay your website, pay for materials, and then that's when people, they get burnt out, because then they feel very deflated that they're not making any money, and that can be really hard. So please don't look at it like that as well. Oh, hi Layla. $45 for your beeswax candles. I would have no problem paying that, sweetheart. Honestly, yeah, no problem paying that at all. Yeah, and I do hear a lot of people talking about. She's saying here, people can bring back the vessel and she'll refill it. I personally do not do that, only because, let's pretend, right, somebody buys this. They take it home, they go, oh, and they drop it on the table. It doesn't crack, but already they burnt it, right? They've given it back to you. That has compromised the jar because it's been dropped. So you never know. And when they leave me, I know that these are not compromised. So that's the thing with me. That's why I don't refill. A lot of people ask me why I don't, and my insurance won't cover refills because of that reason, that you're never guaranteed what happens with the jar when it's out of your hands. But I know it's very popular. It's definitely helping the environment, refilling. So if your insurance will do it and you're comfortable with it, of course you can. But honestly, I'm going to be honest, I paid $90 once for a candle, which was maybe 300 grams, about that size. And I didn't question paying that. Honestly, if I'm going to be honest, it wasn't the smell. I paid for the jar. The jar was black and it had the most beautiful gold embossed signature on the jar, and that actually sold me the product. But I'm going to tell you, it smelled beautiful, but it tunneled all the way through the middle. It probably only burnt 50% of the wax. The rest was left. So it was a bit of a disaster. We did melt down it and made melts for our home and then used them. And that was a very big company, like very, very well-known company. I won't say it because I never shame any company, but the candle was beautiful. It smelled beautiful, looked beautiful, but didn't perform well. And this is the thing, I always say, just try and test and get your things looking good. But if they don't hate yourself, just know that you tried your best to do it, as long as it's safe. To me, the most important thing with anything we make is making sure it's safe. If it doesn't look as good as Martha's down the road, don't worry about that. The safety is more important, and testing and keeping documentation on that. Yeah, Layla, it's right, my love. I'm telling you, I was like, what's this? And I said to my daughter, what a rip-off, $90, only half of it's burnt. But, look, sometimes this happens in a factory when they're making thousands and thousands of them. Sometimes these things happen, so I never look down at anyone making that. I just look at it that, okay, it was a great smelling candle. It looked beautiful. Okay, it wasn't 100%, but I'm never, ever the person to complain. So, but, a lot of customers would. They'd bring that back and really wouldn't be happy. So think of that. So now, like I said, we'll talk about at the end of this as well, one thing that's important. You must make your website look good, people. Please make it look good. And never, ever stop updating your site, because that is super important to fix everything. Oh, hi, Jade Dragon. How are you, my love? Yeah, everyone have an awesome day. You too, my love. So now, and having your website, seriously, it will bring people. Your website is like your shop front. If you walk into a shop and it looks a bit daggy and the products aren't great, you're like, nah, and you walk out. If people go to your website and the images aren't good, it's not the color vibe they want, or they don't feel that it looks great, they won't buy from you. That's the truth. So I've always been updating my site, always. And it's super important to always tweak it and look at different things that you can do. And I do believe no matter whether you have an Etsy or what you have, your website is more important than anything. So make sure your website's good. And I take all my own photos with an iPhone. I don't have a fancy camera. So, you know, and I've just practiced. And if you go on YouTube and write how to use an iPhone to take good images, you'll see so many different ones. And that's how I learnt. I actually watched a lot on YouTube and then just practiced. And eventually you get better and better. But the best tip I can use is try and use portrait mode, because that way you can blur out some of the background as well, and try and make your photos so they're not too busy. The more products they have in it, the messier they are to look at. So, and try and have direct links. That's super important as well. And now another thing that's really big on the market at the moment is colours. I don't know whether a lot of you have noticed, but pink is huge. In Australia, either pink, salmon and ivory are definitely the seasonal colours. They're massively important. That's why you make your own jars. Yeah, super important. Well, I just think so. I mean, look, you can get whatever jar you want, but I personally prefer to use my own jars. And like I said, you know, this is why I made this one, because this sort of pink, this bubblegummy pink, has come right in on trend. So it's really like light pinks and things like that. A lot of people are going back to that kind of 90s vibe of pink and black as well. So that's really big. Pink and grey has always been big. But yeah, and I noticed this year there's a lot of like petal yellows, petal pinks, sage green has come in. So they are definitely huge colours to use this year. So think of all that when you're making your products. Try and think of that. And you know, if you're getting boxes made up, my suggestion is if you're going to get a Christmas one, only get one made up, because after Christmas is gone, then you're stuck with it into the whole next year, and you can't really just keep reviving Christmas boxes. You know, usually once that year's happened, the next year's a different colour, a different theme. So that's really important to understand that theming and understanding the colours. And for those of you that don't know, I've actually studied interior design. I worked as a stylist for quite some time, so that's why I do understand colour and texture and that kind of side a bit more. So, and people are drawn to that. So for an example, something that is like concrete, clay, pottery, terrazzo, all of that, it draws people in because it makes people go, oh, that feels very homely, you know, and, you know, they just love that texture. Whereas something that's glass or ceramic, someone that has more of a minimalistic, clean line home, they will usually go for that. But the average person will usually go for the texture. They just pick it up. It's and when I used to design homes to sell, so I would actually go in and style them up. You know, we'd put a lot of textures, a lot of velvets, a lot of linens in, a lot of bamboo cotton, because those textures work. So if you can bring that back to the product that you're making is super important as well. Oh, somebody's saying, why am I red? It's probably actually because the background, I'm actually in my studio because my shop is being built at the moment, but usually I don't comment when someone says something silly. I just kind of laugh at that as well. But anyway, we are not going to pay attention to those people that are on there because we are talking about something cool, which of course is how to promote your products, how to choose the right things, how to choose colors and things like that as well, which is super, super good. Oh, you love my hair. Thank you. And for that person that asked, I'm 51. So, yes, I am not young, but hopefully I can bring a lot of new things to everyone. And Actually, if somebody wants to watch a really good podcast, do you know what? There's a great podcast I can tell you to watch, and it's called Diary of a CEO. So good, and they have lots of people talking on there how they started businesses at 52, 51, and there was a lady I listened to the other day, and now her company's worth over 300 million, and she started at 52 years old. So you are never ever too old or too young to start a company. So, yeah. Oh, you're 49, young. Yeah, me too. Funny, isn't it? Yeah, so super important. Oh, you love that one, Joy. Yeah, great podcast. Really, really good. I really do enjoy that podcast. And, you know, like if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur like me, you definitely get tips out of that. I've used so many tips from that, and do make sure you subscribe to them. I don't know them personally, but they're really, really good. So yeah, please do that. And if you ever want to share my videos, please share them along. You can definitely do that. If you're on Patreon, do remember they actually get extra videos. So I'm downloading one at the moment to send to Patreon. They do actually get quite a few extra ones. So each week they'll get a free extra video and recipes and things like that. And they also get a 30-page book for anyone that wants to join me over on Patreon. You can ask lots of questions, but always remember on YouTube, I'll always answer your questions as well. Super cool. Yeah. Oh, it's like it's giving yes vibes. Yeah, for sure. So, oh, hi, darling. You have come on to my live. We are almost ending, but like I said, I'm just answering a few questions from Mulgrave, Victoria. Hi, Christina. I hope I said your name right, my love. You know, I'm hopeless remembering a name as well. You're waiting for your book, are you? All right, make sure... message me, love, through Patreon, and I will send it straight to you. Because I always say to people, please remind me, because I have lots of people that come and leave and stay, and they you know, come back all the time, and I'll often forget. So, yeah, message me, and I promise to send it to you today. And there will be a new Christmas one coming for all Patreons as well. On the 1st of November, I'll be releasing that, and it'll be a smaller book, but that will also have everything in it as well. So super, super important. Anyway, we have finished for today, lovelies. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've taken something from it. Make sure you give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my cute little Aussie channel, and hopefully my Australian accent doesn't drive everybody crazy. Oh, thanks, Lois, my love. Thank you. I really appreciate it, lovely. And I will see all of you on the next video. Bye, friends.